Have you ever had a friend that literally hates you for no reason? Because I have. I was friends with this girl in high school. Let's call her Brittany. We were friends for probably a solid 3 or 4 years before I had to block her completely. When we would have sleepovers with a group of friends, this girl would be brutally picking on me the entire time. But when it was just me and her, she was great. She used to call me dumb and say she was smarter than me literally all the time. One time there was a pool party at her house and all the girls were putting on their swimsuits in one room. We were kind of all facing different corners of the wall. And she turned around, told everyone to look at me while I was changing, and started laughing at how skinny I was. Literally was pointing at me and laughing. And this is when I was like 14. Another time when we were like 16 or 17, I was having a sleepover with her and another girl, and she forced me to sleep on the tile floor while they slept on beds with no blankets or pillows, just straight up on the tile. Then she told me at the next sleepover she promised she would give me the bed, and then at the next sleepover the exact same thing happened again, and I slept on the cold hard tile with no blankets or pillows. She also hated the fact that I wanted to be an influencer and that I was actively pursuing that. She would always tell me my career was gonna fail, I was gonna amount to nothing in life, and I was gonna end up homeless on the streets of LA while she was successful. I think part of the reason she was so mad was because her ex-boyfriend confessed his love to me, but I rejected him, and that was also like towards the very beginning of our friendship. Like, I'm telling you, there had to be more. She was also that girl that would immediately start putting me down whenever we were in front of a group of guys, like I was a threat or something, and she was trying to make me look bad in front of them all the time. So eventually senior year rolls around and I decide I am sick of putting up with her BS, and I don't know why I'm doormatting to her all these years and still being her friend when she treats me like that. My light shut off. So I'll tell you how our friendship breakup went. This is when I figured out that this girl is actually crazy. So I just started completely ignoring her and not responding to any of her texts, which worked for a month or two, until one of my other best friends was having a birthday and she wanted all of us to go out to brunch. Obviously Brittany was gonna be there, so I thought, it's fine, there's gonna be like 7 of us there, I can easily just not talk to her, I'll just ignore her. Little did I know what was about to go down in the middle of this restaurant. Go to part 2 back. This is part 2 of my friend that hated me for literally no reason. So it's like me and 7 other girls going out to brunch for my other friend's birthday, and of course she ends up sitting directly across from me at the table. I still think she did that on purpose. She's sitting across from me next to my other friend, and I kid you not, she literally starts looking at me across the table and like talking about me to my friend's ear and making it as obvious as she possibly can. Like, this is literally her. She's like talking, looking at my friend, looking at me, looking at my friend, looking at me, which my other friend really should have stuck up for me and stopped her from doing that, but I'm not friends with her anymore either. So I'm like, oh, we're being petty now. So at first I try to ignore it for like a really long time, and eventually when I can't ignore it anymore, I decide to be petty too. I do the same thing. I start talking to my best friend who's next to me, and I'm like, do you see what she's doing right now? And my best friend's like, oh my god, yeah. So I'm literally sitting there minding my damn business, cutting my little waffle with my butter knife, and I think I was pressing on it too hard because my butter knife flew out of my hand and it literally flew across the restaurant. It made a super loud noise. It's literally sitting on the floor like all the way across this restaurant. I just look at my friends. I like started laughing because I was so like surprised. I slapped my hand over my mouth and I was like, guys, what do I do? I literally said to them too, I was like, what do I do? Before I even have time to figure that out, Brittany stands up as aggressively as she possibly can, pushes her seat out, stomps across the restaurant, grabs the knife, literally is making a scene, walks back, and then slams it as hard as she possibly can down on my plate in front of me. I am shocked my plate didn't break. And then she literally yells as loud as she can, that's what you do when you have a real job and you work in hospitality. Like, dissing me because I wanted to be an influencer. Everyone was literally quiet. Getting through that brunch was hell after that, but we were all standing outside afterwards. My friend whose birthday it was wanted to take a group picture of all of us, so I think we asked a stranger to take it. And even though it wasn't her birthday, Brittany decides she's gonna decide where everyone stands. More specifically, me. So she grabs my arm literally as hard as she possibly can. Like right here, she's gripping onto it, and I swear she was like channeling her like rage into that grip she had on my arm. I'm not even kidding, she literally digs her nails into my arm as hard as she possibly can, like to the point where she almost drew blood. Like, I was in pain, and she starts pulling me. I'm almost done. Go to the next part. Last part, I swear. She grabs my arm and starts gripping it as hard as she possibly can, literally channeling her rage into that grip, like hurting me on purpose. Then she yanks my arm and starts dragging me where she wants me to stand for this picture. I was so pissed and fed up at this point. I literally like yanked my arm out of her hand. I just looked her in the eye and I said, excuse me, but I said it a lot more pissed than that, don't worry. And she just goes, you need to go stand on the end. And of course it was so she could go stand right next to the birthday girl for the picture, which, what are we, 2? So then we pose for the picture. She leaves because she decided to go home early. And the plans were my friend whose birthday it was, she wanted to go shopping, so I went with them. But this was before I learned how to be unbothered, okay? So I was having a hard time after that. I was literally so angry like that entire shopping trip. So finally, I'm on my way home and I'm thinking, thank God all of that is over at least. I can go home and relax. Yeah, no. So I get home and my mother tells me that this girl, Brittany, had literally sent my mother a paragraph, like on text. Basically just going on and on and on. I don't even have the text. I don't know exactly what she said, but I remember it was something about like, you should be so disappointed to have her as your daughter. You need to get her in trouble. You should be ashamed of her. The whole thing was basically your daughter did this and this and this, and this is why I hate her, and just extremely aggressive. The funny part is she really thought she was gonna send that to my mom, and my mom was gonna be like so mad at me and I was gonna get in huge trouble and she was gonna have her revenge. My mom and I were like, what? So at this point, my mom is pissed, my dad is pissed, my boyfriend is pissed, I'm pissed. So after discussion, we all decide the best solution is just to block her number. So that's what we did. I do want to say that I don't hold anything against her now. We were all in high school. It was years ago. We all grow and change, but that friendship was definitely unhealthy. And as I'm sure you can see, it was honestly just best for both of us to go our separate ways. But I'm so much happier now. So take this as a sign to protect your peace and get rid of toxic friendships.